Hi everyone, this is our Flip Collab on the holistic learning approach. So remember, you can choose either holistic or integrated, so one or the other, but you must choose your standalone approach. So if you are looking at this approach, here's your definition here coming straight from our e-text. So you would include that in your essay as your definition. Remember not to copy word for word, but to paraphrase as much as you can. And here's some information about some of the theorists behind this particular approach. So when you're thinking about some of the examples of a holistic literacy approach, remember you just need to show one of these. A great example, and I've got this in the Padlet, I'm just going to go back here, is here they are here. So I've got whole language, children's literature, Waldorf approach or Montessori approach. So you can choose any of those as your example. What I've actually done is had a look in our e-text at chapter 22 here, and I'm going to use children's literature as my example of the holistic approach. So there's lots of information in regards to how you can embed children's literature into the classroom. And there's some great examples here as well. I think it's on the next page. Oh, yep, here it is. So here's a general resource that you can include. Remember, you're including two different resources for each of your approaches. So your general resource here would be a book, maybe possibly Where the Wild Things Are, Sam's Bush Journey. There's some other ones mentioned here as well. So you would use that as your general resource. And when you're thinking about your assessment resource, have a think about some of those strategies which you'll need to be thinking about when you're using a holistic approach. So if you have a look at those strategies that we have talked about in our first two assignments, so you might be thinking about modelled writing, shared writing, interactive writing, language experience approach, guided writing, independent writing. So you could choose one of those strategies to include in the holistic approach, or you could choose one of your reading strategies, which is in chapter 12. And if you're thinking about possibly something like your modelled writing, you would be thinking about an assessment strategy, which is your formative assessment. And I've given a little bit of some information here. This is just general information in regards to assessment. So something that you could be using in your formative assessment. So this forms your records in regards to individual children in your classroom. You could be using something like running records. You could be using an observation sheet. You could be using some questioning techniques as part of your assessment resource that you would have with you as the teacher. And that would be more of a formative resource. If you were using something like a summative resource, which is a resource that sums up a child's learning, you might do a little quiz, a little test, and that's more of your summative assessment. So there's your resources. I'm just going to recap about a holistic, just so that we're all on the same page. So here is our definition of our holistic approach. Remember, there's lots of information in regards to the holistic approach in the Padlet. There's some examples here. You can use any of those examples. I've used the e-text, which is chapter 22 of the e-text. I have used a resource, one of those general books, as my general resource, and I've talked about some of the assessment resources that you would have. So your running records, your observation sheets, questioning techniques, quizzes, little tests that you would have. And then I'm going to show you where in your e-text has got some great links to the Australian curriculum. So there's fantastic links here that you could probably use for actually the standalone, and also if you chose the integrated program as well. So have a look at those links in the Australian curriculum, and that's on page 517 in your e-text. So that's really important that you have a look at those. Remember, you don't have to choose the ones that I've shown you. You can choose those other ones. It will mean probably a little bit more research in regards to finding out a bit more information in regards to that, but feel free, you can use something different if you want to. So there we go. That's an overview of the holistic approach, and hopefully that has helped you out. I'll be on to the integrated approach next. Thanks very much.